Good morning, y'all. It's Sunday, May the 17th, and today I'm going to be touring the Ford Piquette factory. It's downtown Dearborn, and so can't get my arm stretched out there far enough to get everything in the view. But we'll be hopefully grabbing some video inside. We'll see if they will let us. And so we are currently in Dearborn, Michigan. Later. All right, here's a nice chart here. Shows the manufacturing facility here at Piquette. Here's interesting here. This is the models as they came out. The Model A was produced at Mack Avenue plant. First one produced here was the Model B, the C, the F, the K, the N, the R, the S, and then Model T was produced here from 1908 to well, it was produced 1908 to 1927. They started here in 1908 with the Model T and moved to Highland Park in 1910. Some images of the facility as it was working. It's a neat museum. All right, here is Ford's first vehicle, the quadricycle. And I'm just going to kind of walk down the line here. This is a progression of his vehicles as they came along. Of course, in the middle here is the curved dash Oldsmobile. You saw that from the video at REO's museum. They've got it in here for comparison. His next car was the Model A. And then following that, they came out with a Model B. Much fancier car, much bigger car. And back out here a little bit. So there was the Model A, then the Model B. Following that, he came along with the Model C, which was really a modified Model A. I wish I could get better pictures in here, but just can't do it. I'm gonna walk this way. Following that, this was a Model B, C with a tonneau. This one would have been, well, they're the same car. Okay. Then we had the Model F. This was the runabout, Model F. Followed then with the Model F tonneau car, the bigger cover, big seats, instead of having just the back deck like this, had the back seat. After that, we had the Model K, 6-cylinder, designed, the engine's built by the Dodge brothers. This was pretty much a high-speed car. I think he said it'd do about 60. It's a beautiful machine. It was built here as well. Then following that one, Henry Ford wanted to get back. This is when he took over as president, and he wanted to get back to the average man's car, something people could afford. So he built the Model N runabout. Here's another N here without the windscreen and such as that. It's a 1907 car. Following that one, he came out with the R. This is a runabout. And then the Model S following that one. And then finally after the S came the Model T, and he decided that was going to be the car he was going to build. Here's a Model S that's unrestored. I think it was a barn find. Nice car. And of course, I'm all about the unrestored stuff. There's a Roadster. And then along comes the Model T. Let me see if I can get over here where we can get outside those windows. Yeah, that's better view. That's Model T. It came out of this factory initially. In fact, that particular one came out of this factory. And the first 12,000 were built in this factory before he went to Highland Park and began the moving assembly line. So that's a little bit about the Ford progression on the Ford cars. Hey, we're here on the third floor of the Piquette Museum. Got a couple of examples here. There's an example of the wood frame on the Model T Coupe, the Model T Runabout, and the Ford Model T Couplet. But what's interesting on this floor is the assembly process. The Station 1, basically the cars were lined up in a row to be assembled. They had wooden horses. They set the front axle on them, and then basically built the frame to the axles. Section of assembly 2, they mounted the engines and transmissions, connected up to the drive line. Station 3, and they mounted radiators, fuel tanks, steering wheel, and such as that. And then on Station 4, they mounted the fenders, the running boards, and completed the assembly. Interesting in the Station 1, there would have been two men. Assembly Station 2, there would have been 3 men, and they were told that they lifted the engine with straps and set it in place. And the next station, Step 6 and 7 was 1 man, Step 8 was 2 men, Step 9 were 5 men, where they mounted the fuel tank, fuel line, exhaust system, radiator, and hoses. And the next station, Step 13, was 5 men, where they came along with lower fenders, running boards, were assembled, and they came along with the bodies. 4 men could pick it up and drop it on the chassis. And then steps 14 through 20 would have been 5 men. After the wheels were on, they pulled the horses out and stood the car right on the floor. The sawhorses, that is. And man came to take the car away. Little dollies, he shot under the wheels. They sent it to the garage, and that was it. From the garage, it was gassed up and tested, and the car was done. Very interesting. I'll walk back here. I don't know if I'm supposed to be videoing in here, but they didn't say I couldn't, so. Here's a couple more examples of the T. One thing interesting is if you see the flying Ford, I guess they call that, with the little wings on it, it was manufactured here in this facility. The Model T started here, I think the first 13,000, and I'll find out and go back and look at that, correct that. But then they moved it to the Highland Park. So when I went to Highland Park, it did not have that flying Ford. So if it had a flying Ford, it would make there. I was always under the impression that all Ford made was black cars. He did not start making black cars until he went to the assembly line, and they were all black. Before that, it was colored. And then he went back to, after a long run of black cars, he went back to color. This would have been their hidden working area. This was sealed off. Only he and select people could work in here and do their design work, because they were losing a lot of information being shared with other companies. So that was set aside area that only certain trusted people could enter that area. Very interesting. Got a drafting board. You notice overhand line shafts, and operated by one engine. Let's see if we can get a shot of that. Yeah, one electric motor operated the line shafts, and the line shafts operated all of the machines. Very interesting. I'm gonna shut down now, and I'm gonna sit down and watch some video, and get some more here in a few minutes. It's hard to get much for pictures in here because of the sun coming in the windows. Here is here in the museum, a 1922 Fordson, one of Henry Ford's tractors, and then a great example of turning a Model T into a farm tractor. 1925 Ford Model T Pulford tractor conversion. You can see here they took the Model T and changed the rear end on it, changed the drive system on it. And there's a great example where they made a snowmobile out of a 1925 Model T, or snow machine they call it, with tracks on it and skids. Nice. Here's a little section of the museum that kind of interesting. They put it in here as Ford's competitors. That was a early Cadillac, Model B touring Cadillac. And the interesting thing the gentleman pointed out was that had been in a wreck and the body was destroyed, and Cadillac sent him a new body, and he never got around to painting it. Just left it natural wood. This is a 1911 Cadillac Model 30 touring car. These are all competitors of Ford. Some of them were actually created by former Ford employees here. Let me zoom out a little bit for you. That's a pretty thing. The 1910 Brush. Neat little car, if you can see it. The 1912 Flanders Roadster. It was created and manufactured by a former Piquette employee. And you just can't get good pictures because of the windows coming in, but maybe you can see some of it. Here's a 1911 Humpmobile, Model 20C. See if I can walk back this way where you a little bit better picture. This is a 1914 Regal Model T touring car. Lower center of gravity. Pretty car. Made by the Regal company. Wonder if that was historically where Buick gets their term Regal for their model car. This is a 1915 Dodge Brothers touring car. Dodge Brothers had separated from Ford and had been a former supplier of Ford's engines and such as that, axles, and they parted company with Ford and started building their own car. Interesting thing is the logo at the time was confused with the Star of David but it's the Greek symbol D. They're intertwined because there were two brothers and they were inseparable. So it was the two brothers, the two D's. Very interesting. This is a Studebaker. Studebaker eventually bought this factory from Ford. And when he built Highland Park. And so I guess they made Studebakers here for some time. I don't know how long. But Studebaker was way ahead of his time. One of my favorite automobiles, actually. And then over here, we've got a car manufactured by Detroit Electric. It was an electric car. And the gentleman told us that Ford's wife, Clara, had him buy this car for her, or maybe not this particular one, but a electric car for her, or this model, because she wanted an electric car, and Ford didn't make one. So he bought this car for her, or one like it. I don't know that it was the very one. Very interesting. Steering on it is very unique. I don't know if you can see that in there or not, but it's steered from the back seat, and it's got a pair of levers there, and that they steer with. This car particularly had electric wipers on it, as a matter of fact. Well, that's going to kind of do it for up here at the Ford Piquette Factory Museum. I'll get some more outside. I want to get a little more information to share with you. And we're going to call it quits for now, so get some more outside when we leave. Okay, just a little bit more now. I can talk in my outside voice. A little bit more about the Ford Piquette factory. This was Henry Ford's second factory. The first one was in rented space. This was his first one he built. He built the model, I can remember, Model A, Model B, Model C, the R, the N, the K. Sure, I've got some of them. And initially built the Model T here. The Model T started here, and they finished it up at the Highland factory. They left here in 2010, I believe they said. The first 12,000 roughly Model Ts were built here. Turn around because you can't see the name properly there, looking through that end of the camera. I'm going to walk down here where you go down, look down the side of the building, and get a little bit of idea how long it is. Right in this area was called, well, I've got what to say now. Anyhow, right in this area were lots of factories. Studebaker was right next door here. Everybody just about had factories here in this general area. They're either making cars or now you can see the full dimensions of the factory. They were either making cars or they were making parts for cars. So it's been an interesting tour. I took 2 tours while inside to get perspective, and so worthwhile trip, guaranteed. I'm going to leave here now and go out to, I think it's called Garden City Church of God, where their harvest host. That's where I'll be spending the night tonight, and then tomorrow go to the Henry Ford Museum. So that kind of ends the video for today. Bye, y'all.